Well, this work functions because we're using what's called life force energy. The life force energy is that energy that the biologists didn't talk about. They just sort of assumed. They said, well, this is the stuff that's living, and this is what isn't living. And the living stuff is alive, and the non-living stuff isn't alive. But they don't talk about what is that energetic of that which is alive and the energetic of that which is not alive. Well, the Chinese have called the energy Qi, and the Japanese have called it Ki, and the yogis have called it prana, and the Hawaiians have called it mana. And Dr. Beverly Rubik found 76 words that different cultures use to describe the life force energy. But only our modern scientists have recently come up with some new words for it. They call it things like woo-woo, or placebo, or bogus, or imagination, suggestion. These are the words that modern scientists have had for it because they haven't taken the time to actually study what it is. But it does exist. It's a very real force. It's the energy of life, the energy that carries us through, that has biological systems working. But it is also the energy that is amplified and magnified by our love. This is a basic human skill. Everybody can learn to move the energy. And when we use the energy, what we're going to do is we're going to learn to lift it and amplify it. This energy works because we're able to raise our vibration and hold a really high vibration. And then through a process of resonance and entrainment, the person you're working on will match the vibration of the practitioner. That means that when you hold a field that's very high, whatever is in your space tends to come up. Now consider, if you play a note on the piano, the guitar in the room, one of those strings or a couple of them will start to vibrate. That is entraining to the vibration. Crickets will crick together, fireflies will flash together, women sharing a dormitory will menstruate together. Similarly tuned electrical oscillators will come into frequency together. In fact, usually the lower one comes up to meet the higher one. This is a common process of entrainment that occurs. So in quantum touch, what we learn to do is through no particular belief or symbol or anything, we're just using breathing and body awareness exercises. We're feeling our body, which is bringing awareness and attention throughout our body, and we're learning to link it to breathing patterns. And in doing so, we lift our vibration to a very high pitch. When we get our vibration high, we hold the field for the person we're working on, and they begin to entrain or match our vibration and come up. The practitioner does not become drained or tired as a result of doing the work because they are always coming up to meet you or to match you in this work. So when you learn to do this work, you're learning to focus energy. You're learning to focus and amplify that energy. And it's a very basic thing. So we have children, very young ones, who come up and are able to access this, and great-grandparents. And I've talked a lot about the bones moving, but that is such a small picture of what's actually going on in this work. Because we are holding this space, the biological entrainment is taking place, and it works through all the cells, glands, organs, and systems of the body. The work is called quantum touch. And the reason we call it quantum touch is because we recognize that the energy is actually working on a quantum or subatomic level. That means holding that energy is affecting those subatomic particles, but you know, the quantum physicists don't even call them particles now. They're calling them energy packets. And there's a lot of mystery about these energy packets because, first off, they can't even find why they weigh anything. They don't appear to have any mass. They don't exist all the time. They pop in and out of existence. And they are subject to thought. So the experimenters doing the experiments on subatomic particles discovered early that they had to double-blind the experiment because if some scientists expected it to do 2 loops before it went off the page, it would, and others said, no, it should only do 1, and their experiments it should only 1, so they blinded the experiment. And instead of asking the more interesting question, wait a second, how did the expectations of the scientists affect the subatomic particles in these great reactors? That's a more scary question to ask. Instead, they simply blinded the experiment. Well, when we're working with quantum touch and you're holding your hands in an area of the body that needs help and bringing the energy there, what's happening is their body intelligence and the spiritual intelligence of their body is going to work doing the healing, not that you think is important, it's what it thinks is important. So it works up from the subatomic through the atomic, the molecular levels, the cells, the tissues, the organs, the ligaments, tendons, muscles, glands, and then we see the bones move. And we say, ugh, bone move. Not because it's the most interesting thing there is, it's just the most visible thing there is. I could say, wow, look what happened to your gallbladder. Wasn't that amazing? But you go, huh? Because we don't really see what's going on that level. We see bones moving, so I talk about it way too much because I like having things that I can actually show you and have demonstratively visible. So yes, the bones move, but it also brings down inflammation. When people have pain, it radically brings down pain. And so we see physicians, chiropractors, acupuncturists, physical therapists, all kinds of body workers, and lay people immediately being able to get great results with this work. One friend of mine is a physical therapist, and he commented to me, he said, you know, I've been a PT for 20 years, and I can no longer practice physical therapy in good conscience the way they taught me in school now that I know quantum touch, because it seems archaic and destructive relative to what I'm able to do now. We'll see frozen shoulders open up. In fact, it's really hard to go through a litany of all the conditions that this works on because we don't know what it doesn't work for. Now, going back to the energy a little bit, there's a fascinating thing that happens in science. They'll often talk about the magic of touch, the value of touch, the healing power of touch, but it's done almost euphemistically, like touch is this interesting thing that babies need to be touched, and so pick them up in the incubator. But if touch was merely the physical process of touching, they could set up like some kind of mechanical touch for a baby in an incubator with maybe rabbit's fur or something that felt good and just kind of rock the baby. But that's not what it is. It's an exchange of that life force energy, that prana, that chi, and that's what we work with quantum touch.